Hello, Guardians, and welcome to Destiny Reset, episode 130. This podcast is about anything and everything related to Destiny the game. If you love playing Destiny 2 as much as we do, you're in the right place. This reset, we welcome the return of the new and semi-improved faction rallies, we talk about the importance of having perspective, and finally rejoice together in passing games down to the next generation. Hello, Guardians, and welcome. It's AER0KNIGHT and, of course, CyborgSasquatch. Hey, buddy.
Take two.
Take two, yes. They didn't hear the first one.
I'm good. How's it going?
I'm good, dude. How's your week been?
It's faction disaster.
Oh, no, you did it.
Not the game. There's warring factions in my home between Mario and Donkey Kong. It's a real problem.
Really? Oh, man. I mean, that's
some
serious stuff right there, dude.
You guys thought I was talking on Destiny.
You just saw my, I don't even remember where my comment was about all the words faction, rally, and disaster were combined like many different times this week, and it was like, all right, I need to see some new words, some new descriptive words.
Yep. We're gonna lay off of that this week.
We'll cover it, but we'll avoid the words disaster.
Yeah.
Anyways,
doing good. How's your week? What's been going down?
Good, man. Good week. Still apparently rotating some illness in the house, some cold stuff, but you know what? We're knocking it out. Hopefully be done with it soon.
Another day in the life of having kids.
Kiddos in a family. You know what I'm talking about.
No announcements this week. I'd like to announce that you should just play Destiny and listen to Destiny Reset podcast.
There you go. It's quite the announcement.
Yep. But plenty of news.
Yes.
Well, let's get right into this week at Bungie.
Booyah.
Where, logically, the factions have returned after a long hiatus. And they get right into some issues going on with faction rallies, perceived issues, I guess. I wasn't even aware of people's perceptions of what faction rallies were supposed to be this season. Mm-hmm. There's I guess there's two things going on. One was with some lockouts with lost sectors, a mechanic they introduced to prevent, I guess, some cheesing that happened last faction rally, which is to be expected.
I mean, getting 500 to 1,000 in a couple hours.
A little broke. We all knew that was broken. But it seems the fix that they've introduced is a bit disruptive, and they acknowledge that feedback. Cosmo says, we're looking at a change that won't make players feel forced to run to and from a single chest for hours, while also not placing a hard stop on enjoying lost sectors. We want to ensure that every time you open a chest, there is loot inside. We'll share more details on this before the next faction rallies. So what's happening is if you do two lost sectors and loot them within 10 minutes, then a lockout on lost sector rewards is in effect for an additional 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And so I think that is what has frustrated some people playing this week, especially because I think there are some challenges and different things that involved lost sectors.
Right.
So it made it a little more difficult to complete that. Additionally, it's kind of, I don't know if you would call it like a ghost lockout. There's nothing in the game to indicate that's happening. And I think that's sometimes what the type of thing that can frustrate people the most is when there's mechanics that you have to like be told, people have to figure it out and identify to know what's happening. And that is, I think, the most contentious, problem that happens in Destiny games is like mechanics that exist that aren't displayed or explained or communicated in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I really feel like if they could do a better job of communicating these types of things in the game, people will be a lot less upset, even if it's not a perfect mechanic, because then you can play around it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go do something else in the meantime. I mean, and we're gonna touch on an article after this that I kind of want to bring back around to kind of what we're talking about here. But you know, the other thing is, which the weapons, the way the weapons are rolling out now, you know, we have the 3 auto rifles that you can get, whichever faction wins. Well, everyone jumped in expecting all the new weapons to be dropping from the faction engrams. And, you know, the players figured out very quickly that none of the new ones were. There is, I think there's at least maybe one at each faction, because there's a sidearm, an Osiris sidearm that you can get at one of them, I think. I did see that in a video.
Yeah,
but
there's a blog that they, or a forum post that they post on Bungie.net about the rally rewards, and there is a total of 5 new faction weapons for each faction
that you can get right now.
No,
you can't get those.
That's what people were confused about.
Right. So it's basically
any
like
of the new weapons. Yet.
It's like an exclusive. Well, I forget what I watched this week, but there was one sidearm with the Osiris logo on it you could get.
I'm pretty sure that is a forge weapon, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm sorry, I didn't do my research. It's just hitting me as we're talking about it. I could be wrong, but
yeah.
Nonetheless, the 5 you mentioned, basically people thought
they would be in the
naturally
loot pool.
Those would be in the loot pool, and what they're doing is more of an exclusive type thing. Once this faction rally's over, you can get your hands on one of the auto rifles, or all of them.
Whichever one wins.
Yeah, sorry, whichever one wins. And then the next faction rally, those auto rifles will be in the loot pool, and then there'll be a new winning weapon, but no other one. So it's basically kind of like a tier thing. And then
an additional weapon in the rewards.
In the rewards.
So next faction rally will have the previous winner's offering and an additional weapon in the engram rewards, but nothing new in the engram rewards this week.
Yeah. So you're basically getting everything that you probably are. Well, now,
so they'll be rolled out over 3, it seems, 3 different events.
Now, you know, a lot of people instantly were saying, well, I'll just wait till the last faction rally. Now, I will say to that, you know, there are now ghost ships, sparrows, and there's also ornaments. So if you wait till the last faction rally, you'll be grinding for all that. So there's plenty to grind for right now. I did lock myself in the sparrow this week and unlocked an ornament. So, you know, it just depends on how you want to look at it. There's plenty to grind for right now, but, you know, one of the hot topics is always get yourself, you know, your hands on some new weapons, and, you know, that's not going to happen this go round. So it's an interesting, I get both sides of it. You know, there's other stuff to grind for right now. I've been doing that this week, but at the same time, I wouldn't mind trying some new weapons. I do like what they've done here. I think it's like the exclusivity part of it is kind of cool, that you have these, you know, tier 1 weapons, hopefully with some decent perks that will roll out each faction rally. I think what would have made the buffer a little bit better is if maybe you threw in a couple other ones that were new and in the engram, you know, from the start. So maybe you have these higher tier exclusive ones that'll roll out each faction rally, and then you just, you know, sprinkle in a couple of other ones on the side.
I think it would. But I think people's expectations or their perception is what the problem is, and most of that is communication up front, communication in the game about what to expect, perception based on what's happened. Just with like loot delivery systems revolving around factions, even in Destiny 1, you know, because the whole season concept is new, and this is our first like turn of a season, first new faction rally in a season. So we don't know how it's supposed to work, but our expectation is like, if there's going to be new stuff, like you would expect there just to be new stuff and that's what's available, right?
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to the things that were in season 1, like that came with vanilla Destiny 2. Cause I guess we're just used to like, big DLCs would come and you get like full vendor refreshes.
Right.
A lot of the time. And so I think people kind of had it in their mind that it was somewhat similar to that. Like, maybe a whole new stock of weapons.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, just naturally we've been groomed that way, like you're saying. Like, seasons are new to us, but new faction rally, new season.
Change is hard, man.
Yeah, it's like I get it. I definitely understand. Like, we naturally think we're going to get some new weapons.
Yeah, and on this front, Chris Barrett tweeted on the 17th, he said, "Our new goals for weapon rewards and faction rallies should have been broadcast before it returned. I think we could have avoided lots of confusion for players. The development update was our priority. Going forward, we'll strive to communicate any changes to rewards or experiences before they go live."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the most important tweet, I won't say the most important, but the one I was impressed by the most is somebody followed up with that and said, "There it is, the famous 'we'll communicate more.'" And he followed up with that one and said, "I'm just admitting this was an oversight on my part," which is, I think, a very, very important tweet. I mean, I read that and I was like, wow, like, okay, I already thought so, but Mr. Barrett means business. I mean, he just, taking full part in that. So,
yeah, I mean, it's even the way he words it, like, he's like, fact is, the development update was our priority. Like, I'm sure they realized, like, it was something that slipped through the cracks, and those things can happen. And in reality, this is such small potatoes, but people are just so, they're just kind of frustrated to the point where people don't have any patience to spare anymore. I think not in the sense of like, oh, they've been burnt so much. It's just like, I think people don't care to give anybody the benefit of the doubt anymore in this game. It doesn't mean that's right. It's just kind of the way things are, unfortunately, and so like people are so quick to just go the negative and just talk trash if anything. Even a little thing like this goes wrong and they're just like, "Our faction rally is a bust." It's like, no, it's not. Like we have all this new stuff they added in. Like, sorry, you don't get like new weapons. That sucks. But there were other things to do, things that we asked for, like things I specifically wanted out of faction rallies are already here. Like I wanted more stuff to chase than just, suit of armor and some weapons. So they gave us like some cosmetics, and they gave us the ornaments, which are really cool. And I think it's positive progress, but it's so overblown, man. So overblown.
I agree. It's like, you get it, but to an extent, I mean, it's like you gotta just relax.
Yeah, it is what it is, but like reality check, it's not a big deal. So moving on, so they kind of address that, right up front. And then we've got a little bit of a post from the sandbox design lead, Josh Hamrick. And
remember what he's famous for, right? He's like one of my favorite at Bungie.
Why so? Tell us.
He designed the No Land Beyond.
That's right.
Remember that? So naturally, he's one of my
Era's just hoping so bad to see a gun like that come back, man.
Mix it up. Come on.
Yep. So without, reading this whole post, he basically outlines that they are working on a variety of things in the sandbox. He mentions John Wisniewski is doing a pass on exotics. They're talking about things they want to see in season 3 in the next balance patch. Grant McKay is putting together a plan for mods 2.0. quote, I'm going to paraphrase, that significantly allow them to be more potent in ways that you'll end up feeling directly in your ability uptime and therefore total power output. I think that sounds really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And then he mentions the rest of the crew is hard at work on super exciting new content to put smiles on all your faces before the year is out, and that's just the beginning. He mentions that some things are in planning, some things need groundwork that they will lay down earlier, and kind of just gives a state of the union for the Sandbox team, which is great. There's no concrete, there's no promises here. There's no timelines. I think some people might have been looking for something more substantial, but he's at least, telling people what the Sandbox team is up to, because, in the past week or two, since the big blog dev update that we got last week, they didn't talk about Sandbox. So they're at least saying, hey, Sandbox is here. This is kind of some of the things we're working on and how it's shaping up. But I think the Sandbox team is a little further behind in the process than what director Chris Barrett had lined up for other parts of the game. So,
yeah. And he also, Josh Hamrick also tweeted out following this TWAB, and he said, this is the day after, concerning yesterday's TWAB, lots of us folks had asked if Sandbox was involved after Barrett's last update. I showed up to introduce myself and the team to those who don't know us and confirm Sandbox has begun to plan work on several of the first items. Consider it a prologue. He went on to say, if you followed me for a while, you likely remember me tweeting a lot last year at the end of D1. Hopefully you already know I enjoy talking and sharing details with the Destiny community. If not, I hope you start to see it now, as I intend to get back to that for Destiny 2. And then he puts and I love the GIF. It's John Wick. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Yeah. And I think we have to keep in mind with the Sandbox team, they can definitely chart out like what their goals are for certain things. What was that? There was another tweet that he had put up
about the mods.
No, it was something else that I really liked. Let me go back and find it. It was like just over this past weekend.
Man, they're getting super. I love it. They're really starting to utilize Twitter. I mean, Barrett's been doing it for a little bit, but now to see him jump out, saying he's going to start doing it more.
Yeah, I gotta find this tweet because it was great. He basically was talking about how their overall. I think it was a reply to somebody, and he said the overall goal for the Sandbox in the game is to make the player feel more godlike in play,
right.
Which is, that's the power fantasy that we always, here it is. At the highest level, we want to make you feel more like a god as you're playing the game. I think that will influence all of our decisions, and I believe is what, if you totally condense it down to a single statement, is what I'm hearing from the community as well. So to kind of give you an idea of like what the Sandbox team is thinking about, but thing I wanted to point out is they can chart out like what their goals are, but especially with the Sandbox, sometimes they can implement an idea and they have to test it, right? They got to put it in the game and test it out. And sometimes it can break stuff. Sometimes it can not work out as well as intended. So I think that you'll hear less up front about like what certain changes will be until they really have them nailed down, like mods 2.0 or like major changes to exotics. Like this is stuff that's like really impacts the game. So when you talk about the Sandbox, it's basically like all the powers, the tools, the guns, everything that makes the game what it is. And so when you start tweaking that stuff, it's a really big ecosystem. And so they can't just, kind of how Chris Barrett, he laid out like overall goals for features in the game and different things like that. They know they can implement stuff like that and figure out the code, but he's not going to come in here and be like, so we're planning to make hunters the best, or we're planning to make Shadow Shot, always instantly tether an enemy in the Crucible. Well, they have to implement that and make sure it works before they can promise something like that. So just keep that in mind is all I'm saying.
Very much so.
But to be fair, they'll never say they'll make the hunters the best. I mean, come on. Come on.
All the hunters listening right now.
There's like 2 of them, let's be honest. Destiny player support.
Oh boy.
I'm going to get so much hate mail this week.
Yeah.
Destiny player support talked about some, as usual, I feel like at least every 2 weeks, like there's a new round of error codes. They're like, something is always, it's like, well, this week we had error code Beaver. So if you get it, like, close the game and start it over. It's like,
just do
come
that.
on, you can figure this out. They are finally figuring out a solution for the Ikora waypoint that will not go away. Everybody has it.
I didn't, and then after I did one of her. Actually, no, I'm thinking of my PC character. But yes, I got it after I forget.
It's like
what
getting it's like getting a bug or like some malware. Like, when did you get it?
Yeah, I actually tweeted out a picture of the tower like after I did a bunch of activities this week, and I was like, I love when the tower looks like this. And somebody messaged or tweeted me back and said, yeah, I see you've got you need to go see Dead Orbit, and they weren't too happy about that. And then somebody, of course, had to make a nod to Ikora was calling for me.
Yep, she's just constantly just stalking, like, come see me. She wants you to be a warlock.
I did get her ship last week, dude.
Oh, I know, I'm jealous. I could have bought it, but I'm saving all my bright dust for the mic drop to be sold.
Yeah, I want this. I do want the only other thing I want is I do want the selfie.
Or selfie. One of those.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why.
I broke down some stuff.
I'll take
did this or that, and I had 1,500 broke down, a few more things, and then I'm like, okay, 18, 19, what I got, and then I have 3 bright dust now. I'm like, I'm gonna get it. If the selfie is being sold the next week, so be it. And luckily, it wasn't.
Nice.
But dude, it's a beautiful ship.
Yeah, I all that model, that newer model, like the Saint 14 ship is similar, and then I think there's another one.
Well, plus the Ikora kind of looks like our old OG ship from D1.
Yeah.
But man, I love the Titan helm too. Then we had a listener and Twitter friend tell us to check out the Titan arms as well. But man, I'm still going on no actual money spent at Eververse, so I
stopped
all
after
my 2,000 bright dust.
The first 2 weeks of Destiny 2.
Yeah.
And now it's on principle. That whole thing. Oh yeah, but back to the Ikora problem. They mention that there's a fix on track for the January 30th update. Can't wait for that. But in the meantime, if you complete meditations or milestones to earn Vanguard research tokens, you can temporarily remove the waypoint. So basically, Ikora is stalking you until you show up and give her some attention. She's not going to go away. So yeah.
She's a warlock.
Yep. Shut up. And then we had some movies of the week that are some cool videos, some montages to check out. I always enjoy those. And then we'll see more progress next week, they mention, on development of Destiny 2. So that was this week at Bungie.
Yeah, I mean, it is right. I'm looking at my calendar. Next episode releases Armor Masterworks are going to be dropping. Not this episode.
Yeah, next episode.
Yeah.
We'll have a
I
patch.
can't wait, man.
I'm excited.
Yeah, those stats.
We'll have some more stuff to talk. Some new stuff. I think my favorite thing is talking about updates on this on this podcast. Just going over the updates. What other kind of news do we have this week, man?
Dude, okay, I went crazy on Twitter this week.
You did. You were a madman.
We got an article from our friend Paul Tassi. He's been on the show. Probably about time to have him back on the show for too long.
Yeah, writer at Forbes.
Yes, writer at Forbes. He released an article this week that was called "I'm Worried About Destiny 2, but I'm More Worried About Bungie." And a good member of the team shared this with us, Mr. Darth. And man, this article, I started reading it. I'm like, I'm just so groomed to like where articles and YouTube videos and stuff, while constructive, we kind of hinted on it already this episode, but this article knocked it out of the park, man. Obviously, you've probably read it at this point, right?
Yeah.
Basically, talks about where Destiny's at and where the community's at and where Bungie's at, and that it's, for a lot, it's not quite met some criteria and some expectations. But then it goes on to talk about the kind of crunch developers are in when they're developing a AAA game like this, talking about to release. So back in September, just to release the game. And with a lot of AAA developers, once they hit that crunch time, as they call it, the game releases, and there's a lot of long hours, this or that, yada yada. Game releases, it eases up a bit. And how with Destiny, and I'm sure a handful of other games, it really doesn't for Bungie. It is, and we've talked about this before, and I've kind of joked and said this game is just it's just a beast. It's a machine. It's always going. And once they release the game, especially if the community's not content with certain things, it doesn't stop for them, and it's
right.
And again,
there's no pause button.
Right, there's no pause. And again, many games are like this. Destiny's not the only game, but where Destiny's unique is, and they've groomed us this way. We want DLC packs, we want live events. Now we've got seasons. A lot of these things, they said they were going to hit on with Destiny 2, and it just never stops. It's just crunch time, and then you take all that, and they're trying to develop new content. And we learned recently from Jason Schreier from Kotaku, which we've talked about before. I don't know that, Cyborg, tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if it was confirmed. I don't know if these days, I don't know if you can call what he says rumors. I mean, it's almost always exact, but that they're, of course, probably, and they are working on Destiny 3 already. I mean, people seem surprised by that, but of course they are, right? I mean, it's...
Yeah, he had mentioned that in an article or a post or something, that he had confirmed through a source at Bungie that Destiny 3 was in development. But,
and, I mean, you're talking...
Here's the thing. In development can mean anything.
Ideas. Meetings with ideas.
Absolutely. You can say it's in development if they're starting to have meetings about, all right, guys, like, we got to put a date on this thing, so we have goals to look to in the future. What happens between now and then, and what things do we know we want to happen in that title? Okay, here's the story, here's our story beats for the next 5 DLCs. Here's what's supposed to happen here. Here's features we'd like to see that, can't happen in this iteration, but we'd love to see in a full title. That's development of a sequel. And geez, if you don't understand how long it takes to develop games, it takes years.
Right.
To develop stuff like this.
So of course they're already starting on it.
Be happy that they're starting on it.
Right.
Like, if you want Destiny 3 to be the game you want it to be, they absolutely need to start now when Destiny 2 is fresh in their mind. Right. The trials, tribulations, and successes. Anyways, I'm on a tangent. Your point was...
No, I brought you into that, man. So with that said, Tassie goes on in this article to say, with Bungie and the Destiny franchise, their demands are much, much more intense. And I quote, I'll paraphrase on the bullet points. They're developing a full game, often in very short time spans like Destiny 2. They're developing large amounts of DLC, small DLC, TTK-style DLC. They're maintaining interest through live events like Faction Rallies, Iron Banner, The Dawning. And then, again, they're fixing everything that's going wrong with the game, quality of life stuff, trying to listen to the community, trying to provide feedback to the community. So all these things are going on. And, I encourage you to go read this article. It's at Forbes.com, and I believe it's, is it called Insert Coins? Is that?
Yeah, that's their side of Forbes that's based on games coverage. So
Right. And, so again, Tassi goes on to say, all of this is way more work than just getting a game out at a certain date, which is hard enough as it is for most developers. And it's compounded by the fact that if Bungie gets stuff wrong or goes too long without making content, their player base will lose their minds or quit entirely until stuff is fixed. And then, the other part of it is their publisher, Activision's involved. And they're on time crunches with them. They're on things that, they agreed that they're going to release and different things of that nature. So the important part is Paul goes on to say, and it's the approach he takes with this article. He goes on to say his advice for fans, and I'm just going to read this. He says, sure, express what you dislike about Destiny 2 in order to help Bungie make it better, but don't make it personally. Certainly don't call anyone lazy, as this is surely not the issue here. And be understanding if Bungie needs to cancel or push back content in order to make it better. Understand you do not need 3,000 hours of Destiny gameplay a year, and it's okay to take a break, and let Bungie take a break. He goes on to say his advice for Activision, and I won't read all that. He basically he relates it to Assassin's Creed and Ubisoft, where, they were shelling that game out every year like it was Call of Duty, and they decided to take a break, take a year off, and now we have Assassin's Creed Origins, which is done very well. So in a nutshell, he's basically saying, maybe look at the deal again, guys, Activision and Bungie, and see what's going on here with the community and Bungie, and see if it's feasible for them to be able to do what's being asked of them, and maybe rework the deal a little bit. But to bring all this in, I pushed this out on Twitter like crazy because I really liked the approach he took here. It's understanding, it's kindness, it's realizing these are people working on this game that love this game as much as we do. And I don't want, the other angle on this is I don't want it to seem like, I don't want people to be negative or provide your feedback. Because of course, if you're critiquing something, naturally, even if you're not meaning to be negative, it can seem like it's being negative. There's a difference between being toxic and just providing feedback, constructive feedback, things you don't like about the game. Sometimes things you do like about the game. But the important part of this article for me is to just step back and realize you can provide feedback, but you can do it in a very non-toxic way and try to be understanding. The game, we know that this article is past the point of, and the community is past, I think we need to get past the point of Destiny 2 maybe didn't meet a lot of different Guardians expectations. Mm-hmm. We've said that. Let's just accept that.
Right.
And that's why I think this article is important. People were throwing feedback at me like, I don't think it's wrong for people to provide feedback or to say this or to be upset because they didn't get the game and it's like, I understand that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is at the point we're at now,
I think it's about perspective.
Yes. Let's accept it. And the thing is we focus so much on this. I don't say we focus so much on it. It's hard not to. There are a lot of people, granted the numbers are still down, but there are a lot of people playing this game every week still that are, they're just playing it, Yeah. And they're content. So for those of us who stay in the loop, we're on Reddit, we're listening to Destiny podcasts, we're on Twitter, following the developers. We all know, for a lot of us, and I don't mean to speak for other people, but I think it goes without saying, Destiny 2 didn't meet many of the community's expectations. Let's accept that. Take this approach that Paul is doing here and try to take a layer of understanding and realize where Bungie's at with this and realize they're trying and they're doing everything they can, and going back to the faction rallies, this game is a machine. It's a beast. They hear everything. Like I'm fascinated with how much Christopher Baird is on Twitter and what he's replying to. And, it's like, I understand that the way the new weapons were dished out in the faction rallies might have been an oversight, because it really does kind of seem like a small thing with everything they're trying to tackle right now.
Right.
And I totally understand that the community could still be frustrated by that. They're getting paid to do this. This is their job. I really ask that people just be a little bit more understanding. The thing that frustrates me is when I read comments and stuff, and it's like the thought process is that Bungie is like out to get us. And I guess that's just one perspective that I just don't understand. And again, I was listening to Fireteam Chat this week, and CJ, who's been on the show before, not too long ago, he made a comment that I really liked. He said, if someone's down, you're not just going to keep kicking them, like if you don't just keep knocking them down and knocking them down. And obviously I'm talking about Bungie, and it's like, just set aside your frustrations with the game right now if you have them, and let's all just work as a team to get it to where we want it. The thing that Tassie ends this article on, and I'm going to read this last paragraph. He says, the one thing everyone, Activision, Bungie, and fans have in common is that they want Destiny to succeed. All of us do. We all want it to succeed. The fans want it to be the game that we want to play every day. Activision wants to make some money. Bungie wants to still be in tune with their community and, of course, still have a job. So that's it.
Have some perspective. I think that's, and that is ultimately what I think Paul's article was about, is have some perspective about.
These are people.
Yeah, the what the reality of the situation is, and all the different factors that it involves, and then ultimately his advice is, think about the fact that Bungie is composed of people. You don't need to fling mud to get a point across, and if you are flinging mud rather than just offering criticism, then you're doing that for yourself to make yourself feel better. It has nothing to do with what Bungie is or isn't. So,
right.
But that's just my thoughts on people that do that. But on this note, I think it's something that I thought would be worth pointing out is I've subbed to a subreddit called Low Sodium Destiny.
Dude,
great subreddit to check out.
That's so funny. I just thought this week how funny it would be to start a non-salt Destiny Red
there
page,
is one.
and then I'm like, it'll just flood into it anyways. I didn't know there was one.
r/Low Sodium Destiny, and there was a user, Face of the Abyss, and he had a post. It was, I was bored, so I scraped Destiny Tracker's archive for player population history from August 2016. Results may not be what you think. He's got all the data up that you can grab and look at, and he's got a really nice graph. And what he actually found was Destiny 2 has a higher population than Destiny 1 did for the same period last year. So our population right now is higher than the Age of Triumph.
Interesting.
That was what was happening this time last year. Now, that's not entirely surprising, because he also points out that Destiny 2 at launch had its higher player base ever, several times higher than what D1 had at Rise of Iron, which Rise of Iron was like their best-selling expansion ever, I think. So that's good, that's a lot of people. I think it listed at almost 7 million at launch. So his takeaways and questions were, all right, there's around between 1 and 2 million people playing each week. Where are they?
Yeah.
If they're not the people that you see on social media, or on Reddit or on Bungie.net or wherever they're just constantly complaining, it leaves a lot of people out there that, maybe some of them do have complaints and maybe some of them just are happy with the game. Mm-hmm. So just have some perspective on that, I think, is important. And, Destiny 2 is just a different beast.
Before this article dropped, I had tweeted out, like, maybe Bungie just needs to take the game offline for a few months.
Oh my God.
And work on things, and that will make some people happy. And then my afterthought was, then we would hear from the people who are playing the game completely content right now. Like, then that would bring them out to say, why the heck is this game offline? Like, I'm having fun playing it every week. And I'm just being funny. Like, of course, it's not logical, and they're not going to do that, and I don't want them to do that. Of all of our listeners, you guys listen to us every week. We critique this game. There are plenty of quality of life things I want to see. You'll see it on my Twitter feed. I tweeted Barrett a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, this one's way out there, but I'm sure it's on your radar, but I just really hope you guys are kind of looking at how you're going to release Destiny 3 differently than you did Destiny 2, so we don't backtrack with certain quality of life systems. So it's like Cyborg and I, we have critiques of the game. Of course we do. We love the game. We want to see it to be the best it can be. The whole point of all of this, before you call us, shills and whatever else, is it's all a matter of understanding. Critique the game all you want. That's great. That's exactly what they want us to do. They want those ideas. They want the things. They want to hear the things that will make the game better. It's just, don't be toxic. Don't jump on a bandwagon. Just play the game. Figure out what is important to you, and provide that feedback on their forums. Tweet at them. They're super interactive. I've favorited, bookmarked several of the developers just today because they're so active on Twitter. Now I'm like going to look and see what they're responding to. Anyways, it's just one of those things. This game is our favorite game, so I think everyone means well.
Yeah,
even
deal with
toxic, even the most toxic post. I'm just going to say that Guardian means well.
Guardian means well.
But I think go read this article. It's a great article, and
you can follow Paul Tassi on Twitter I think he's at Paul Tassi, Tassy. Yes, good guy. He's covered Destiny for years. I think his coverage is pretty good. He plays a lot. Maybe
he did
not
way back in the day.
Yeah. He may not be as hardcore as like the thousands of hours crew, but he definitely had like probably close to 1,000 hours of Destiny 1, if I remember. So he's a credible source to check out for coverage.
I know it's funny when you hear Forbes. It's like, what? Like, we're talking about,
but they have an entire gaming
a whole
crew over there. So,
and he is we had him on way back in D1, and he was all, I mean, that was in the midst of his 1,000 hours. He's definitely a Destiny fan.
Another little tidbit worth mentioning is Bungie has a job posting up for community manager. Oh, very interesting. I'm not going to speculate on why that is because I don't think that needs to be public. But whatever the reason is, they are hiring a community manager. The job description is pretty much what you have seen Deej and Cosmo's jobs to be. This posting I read is more of what Deej's job was before Cosmo came around, and they kind of started splitting responsibilities as Cosmo has moved more into that community management role. But either way, I know a lot of people that want jobs like this.
Right.
I think what I find really interesting is some of the required skills. If you have experience in content creation, community management, and specifically, they want somebody that's an avid Destiny player with knowledgeable and deep expertise in the franchise. I think that they have a lot of they've really developed like what they expect from this position. And so, if you're a content creator, or you have some kind of community management experience, I think that those are very, very valuable for this role. And, go check it out. Maybe you should apply. AER0KNIGHT, you gonna turn in a resume, buddy?
I'm not looking to relocate
for a new career
unless it can be done via the interweb.
This is the dream job, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Just messing with you. You got to be able to. Well, you got to be able to travel too. It says.
Yeah.
No,
traveling.
I am not in the conventional job market. I'm self-employed, so you won't find me applying to this. However tempting it is.
However tempting.
It is tempting to throw my hat in and just see, but no. There are some amazing people in the Destiny community that would probably knock it out of the park in this job. So.
Oh yeah, there are plenty.
But if you go to Bungie.net, if you scroll all the way to the footer of the page, there's a careers link, and you can look at job postings and find this and apply. Go check it out. I think this is cool because this is a position that, in my mind, I never saw opening again for a long time. So this is a great opportunity for somebody. I'm very interested to see where this goes.
Definitely.
So that's most of the news this week.
Pretty much it in a nutshell. Besides
that, I shaved my beard off. That's news. I guess.
Nice. Very nice.
Big news on the cyborg front.
That's exciting, buddy.
How was your reset?
My reset was filled with Destiny, dude. Before I get into Destiny, I don't want to forget this. I finally picked up Blood, Sweat, and Pixels by Jason.
Oh, good.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I jumped straight to the Destiny chapter.
Yeah, I read that chapter first.
That was fascinating. I'm actually going to then jump straight to the Diablo 3 chapter, and then I think I'm going to start at the beginning.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I was right in the midst of playing Diablo 3 when it launched, and then they did the whole Reaper of Souls thing. So it's interesting for me to read that right now. I want to read it with everything that's going on with Destiny 2 and the community and stuff.
We might as well throw a plug in. We have a sponsor if you're into reading books, and we had mentioned this book a while ago, Audible. If you ever use Audible, it's a service for books of the spoken word, audiobooks, if you will. I used Audible last year to read 26 books.
Nice, dude.
My goal was 50. I didn't reach it, so I have a new goal of 50 books for 2018 that I'm working on, and using Audible to do it. A great book you could pick up if you want to sign up for a free trial, 30-day free trial. You get to pick a book, and you get to keep it, even if you cancel the service. You can pick up Blood, Sweat, and Pixels by Jason Schreier, whatever you want to call him.
Said many ways.
Really good read. He spent years putting together research and interviewing developers and stuff, giving you a behind-the-scenes look into some very...
that crunch time we were talking about.
Yeah, some very interesting development experiences. Will give you a new appreciation and insider look into what happens when games are developed. So I would go check it out. audibletrial.com/Destiny Reset.
Do it, Guardians.
Go give it a try. Reading.
Anyways, I'm very, very pleased with it so far. I nerd out on books like that though. I enjoy all types of books, but reading about this kind of stuff in particular is just fascinating to me.
I would love to see more stuff like this. There's actually somebody is writing a book about what was the franchise? I even bookmarked it the other day. It was the development of now I'm gonna have to go back and find it. But it was a book along those veins, but it was based on it was focused on one particular game. And I'm drawing a blank though, but I want to find more books like this.
Follow up, tell us, man.
I'll figure it out.
I'm interested
if I can remember what it was.
Yes,
it was a major franchise.
Yeah, so I'm going to continue reading that, of course. Very pleased with it. And then I've also been Music of the Spheres is on YouTube. So you don't have to do the downloading thing.
Yup.
Oh man, it's so good. I'm like on
So
my
good.
fourth or fifth full playthrough. It's just so beautiful. If you guys haven't yet, just YouTube Music of the Spheres and
Yeah.
listen to the work that was done by Marty and Salvatore and Paul McCartney there at the end.
Sir Paul McCartney.
Sir Paul McCartney.
Oh, the book is Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, nice, dude. Very nice.
Written by one of the developers with interviews by a bunch of their designers and etc. It's not out yet though. It's for pre-order.
Very cool.
Be interesting.
Thanks for sharing, buddy.
Yeah. Anyways, how was the rest of your reset? What else did you get into this week, man?
Dude, I've been, like I've mentioned to you guys on several episodes, I've been soloing it up the past month or two. Just with the times I'm playing, and I jump on, dude, knock out those. You asked me what I had done this week. I'm like, I did every milestone that a solo player can do without having to use guided games.
Yeah.
So at some point, I definitely want to fire team up again and play with the Dirt Fam. But dude, I just like the other night, I think I booted it up at like 1 a.m. I like got back up and, anyways, so running the strikes. I'm having a blast in strikes. I can't forget this either. Many episodes ago, you mentioned a random boss on Mercury. I was trying to do I think it was the Flashpoint this week, and I was knocking out the faction rally portion of that too. And all of a sudden, it said the Vex were escorting a prisoner, and I went, and maybe I'm just a total Mercury noob. I just haven't spent enough time on that planet. But I went like off to the, I don't know, west, way off as far as you could go. And there was a massive Vex guarding a like prisoned cabal. Have you had this yet? Have you done this?
Yes. Well, dude, I think there's like 2 different versions of that.
I have not even come across it, and I've been on the planet plenty. And I remember the whole time I'm doing it, I remember you saying like,
I think that's a different one, but
than what you said, because you said yours was real quick. I was by myself over here trying to do this, and I took out the big dude, and then I took out the cabal, and then all of a sudden like 3 flares or whatever spawned with different
the 3 flares, and they're like mega yellow bars.
Ridiculous, dude.
They will whip your butt, dude.
I didn't beat them. I was soloing it. And
I've never soloed that one. Finished it. It's hard.
Have you finished it with a fire team though?
Yes.
Like what? Do you just get a chest?
Those
at the
flares
end?
actually each have a chance to drop an exotic. Believe it or not.
Oh wow. Dude, I don't know. Everybody listening is like, are you kidding me, Arrow? Like you haven't seen this before.
I can't remember if there's a chest or I don't remember.
I don't know, but it was fast. It was fantastic. Like
it's fun.
Had a blast. I don't know how I haven't come across it yet, because I've done plenty of public events on Mercury.
Well, that
get the verse stuff.
When it's the Flashpoint, I guess you could call these public events, but if you wanted to call them like, occurrences or something, like events, happen all over the place that you wouldn't normally see if it was not the Flashpoint.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I was like, I can't forget to talk about this. I don't care if people wonder how I hadn't come across it yet.
But even on the Flashpoint, I only saw that one like a couple times.
Yeah,
when it was the Flashpoint, and I was running Mercury hard that week.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. I played a ton this week. I jumped on. I did every milestone except for the raids and trials. So I had 3 left, I think, on there. So running strikes. I did some faction rally stuff. Everything counts there. I got the Sparrow, I think I already mentioned. I'm working on a loadout, basically a gear set for each subclass. Kind of like making my own little mini games, just kind of having fun with it. So I'm trying to build like a gear set that I can just swap on for each subclass. Right now, I've just been running like Bubble Titan, like I've mentioned for a while. But I even jumped in PvP and threw on my Striker on console. And I don't know what's going on, if I just got lucky with my fire teams, because again, I'm solo playing it, but absolutely destroying I think in one game we won like 70-26. So I don't know if everybody moved to PC or what, or I just needed a break from the Crucible, but I think I lost one game out of the milestone plus like 5 games. So anyways, I don't know. I'm having a blast even in the Crucible, man. That positive outlook is just a beast, no matter where you take it. But anyways, I'm working on my light level is my, of course, the core grind. I'm 329. So
nice, you're almost there.
Yeah, I've mentioned before, we talked about many times in Destiny 1 how you couldn't, for the longest time, you couldn't increase your light level unless you did trials or you did the raid. And I'm just soloing it up every week, man. Just doing my milestones, getting some engrams from the clan.
Many ways that you can progress that way.
Yeah, definitely. So
the only missing part of that equation is just that light level is not very important anymore.
It's not as substantial.
Doesn't have any impact. I hope that's something that we see them make some moves with in maybe the next DLC or something, and having that number have more impact in some way.
I do think about that. Like I was running, I want to say it was a strike, even that public event, whatever you want to call it, on Mercury. When you I don't know why, for some reason, this strike, it's almost like sometimes I think the game bugs out. It was extremely hard. I think it was the arms dealer strike. For some reason, I've ran through it many times, but it just seemed substantially harder one playthrough this week for some reason. And it makes me, every time that happens, whatever it may be, even that encounter on Mercury, it's like, I want some activities to be almost impossible to beat, Yeah. Like, I don't want the raid just to be like that. I want, strikes are little mini raids. Like, I want activities like those heroic adventures. I haven't revisited those in a little while, that you can do with the Osiris expansion. Like,
they were hard at first.
Yeah, and now probably at 330 they're not.
They're not as hard.
Yeah, make it just throw a little corner of activities over here that you may not beat. Like, you may wipe a few times,
Yeah.
Anyways, I can respect that for sure.
So what I got this week?
What'd you get?
So I follow a guy, Hassan, who is a partnership account manager at Twitch, and he tweeted out, if anyone missed out on the Super Nintendo NES Classic, it's available now via Amazon, a lightning deal. And I happened to see that about 30 minutes after he tweeted it. So I jump on Amazon real quick, and I look, and it says it has one left.
No way.
So I put it in my cart, and I go to my cart, and then I go to the next step, which is payment method. And when I hit that, it's like, sorry, this item is no longer listed as available.
No. You know what usually happens with that, though? You make it all the way through it, and then your shipping gets delayed, and it says,
and then it says,
many months.
We're not going to have it. I was worried about that too. So then I play with it a little bit, and it lets me go on a waiting list, like get notified when this comes available. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll do this, just on the chance. 10 minutes later, I get a notification from the Amazon app on my phone, and it's like, this product is available, and it has a 3-minute timer, and it's like, this will be available for this amount of time. So I grabbed it, and I bought it, and I got it, and I actually got it 2 days later. So,
wow, dude. This is Super Nintendo, you said, right?
Yeah, this SNES Classic, and I was so excited because some of my favorite games of all time from my childhood were on Super Nintendo. We had, Zelda, we had Donkey Kong Country, Street Fighter 2, all these games that I kind of, cut my teeth on as a kid, and has so many of those games, and I was super excited. And
that's awesome.
It has some Sonic on there, I think. No, not Sonic. Kirby.
Sega.
It has 2 different Kirbys, which I love Kirby. Has Star Fox on there. It's got Mario World, just all the stuff, dude. I was so happy to get one of these. You have no idea.
Oh, I'm sure. I want one. We want one as well, and then I would like to have the NES too. We've seen them many times. When they first released
I haven't
the
seen
NES
the
one.
NES for sale in a long time.
No, not for sale. Yeah,
because
I remember when
it
it
was
first
limited
came out.
time. Like they don't have them. They're not making them anymore. But I took, this is just good for me. So I got that, and I played.
That's awesome.
I played on that a little bit. I couldn't for too long because what I realized, like with a lot of these games, like you can just start and then like 6 hours go by like in a flash.
Yep.
And so I played for like 45 minutes. A couple games. Was like I can't start that game. Can't start Zelda. Can't start Donkey Kong, can't start Mario. I was like, if I do it, I will not walk away. So I haven't played any of those yet, but
Step away, Guardian.
So I just kind of messed around a little bit, but I'm super happy because I get to introduce all these cool games to my son, who has finally got hooked, man. He is obsessed with Super Mario Odyssey.
Oh, that's cool.
And he is loving it so much that, we went shopping for something for my wife Friday evening, and we're in a store. And so I like took him, we're just kind of like looking at the kids stuff. And all of a sudden he's like, Dad, look. And they had Mario t-shirts, and we bought 3.
Nice.
And they're like his favorite shirts now. He's super excited.
They're the best.
I'm
It's
just
so great,
loving
dude.
that he is officially a gamer now.
To connect with them on that level.
Yep. And we sit down together and we're playing Mario Odyssey, and I help him get through all the bosses, and but he's getting good, man. He's picking it up. For like a 4-year-old to play like a 3D game, it's a big learning curve.
It is, yeah.
Because you have the 2 different axes of one for motion and one for your camera, and that's tough to wrap your head around coming from just nothing. So he's progressing. He's doing well. I'm happy.
That's awesome. How is he at Mario Kart? I know I've kept you up to date.
He needs some work on that. We haven't played it as much. I know your son is really good, so I need to train mine to get to that level so they can compete. But
you know what's great about Mario Kart though is the newest one. They make it to where you like, even if you can't stay on the track, it like
you
doesn't
stay on the track.
let you.
Yeah.
He drive off the track.
He hasn't like got the idea of how to steer a car period yet. Like once he figures that out, he's going to be fine. So he just holds the stick in a direction and it just gets him there,
Yeah. Well, plus that game is fast paced, even at the lowest CC. Like there's a lot going on that you gotta
there's
take
a lot
in,
Yeah. But the bottom line is like that he is interested. And he's engaged with it, and he's engaged enough that he sticks with it to get better.
That's awesome.
So that's really exciting because I get to share it with him, and that's what I've always wanted.
So cool.
It is. Yeah. So I've spent like a lot of my gaming time like with him, like in front of the TV or on the couch, like playing Mario with him this week, and it's been a lot of fun.
That's really cool, dude.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's great. Besides that, man, I've had like just limited here and there time to play. The most gaming I did was just this weekend, and my buddies have been like hassling me all the week to come play Fortnite with them again. So I played some Fortnite, and then beyond that, like I've had time, like when I'm like with the kids or whatever, to like play the Switch by myself for a few minutes while they're like watching a show. So I've been playing some Stardew Valley again.
Oh, nice.
And that's got me hooked.
Very cool.
Stardew Valley, man.
Yeah, I mean, I have that. I bought it when it came out, but I just haven't like you told me like the systems or get pretty deep in that game, and I just haven't like dove into it yet.
Yeah.
It's so easy to buy games on the Switch. I know I've already said this, but Holden reminded me that Darkest Dungeon came out this week, and I have that on PS4, and the game's so cool. I went to go get it thinking it was going to be like $15-20, and it's $35, which is more than worth it. It's a fantastic game, but I'm like, man, I just bought this and that. Like, I think I'm just going to wait because I'm trying not to add to the backlog of my video games right now.
Yeah.
And I pre-ordered Monster Hunter. I'm like, what? because that game just looks really cool. And so here's my weeks right now, and I don't know what's going to happen when Monster Hunter comes out. I am doing all my reset stuff on Destiny, really having fun with that. And like this week, when I hit that point where I only had those 3 milestones left, I'm like, okay, I might try to jump in the raid lair at some point. But if I don't, I'm going to play Zelda. So I'm playing Zelda, which I've been playing for a little while. But I'm determined to beat that game. Like, I'm just going to keep playing Zelda. So I'm hoping Monster Hunter doesn't throw a wrench in my plans. Because Monster Hunter feels like one of those games, like, when it releases, you need to be, like, in it, right in the midst of it, reading the Reddit, you know what I mean? And watching the YouTube videos and figuring out what's going on. And I'm like, maybe I should cancel my pre-order. So I want to beat Zelda. The game is such a cool game.
I understand.
Anyways, you don't have Zelda yet, right? You're kind of steering away from that one for just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm holding off. I'm gonna wait till like maybe the spring or something. There's other experiences I want to complete first, so I'll get to it.
Yeah, dude,
it's not going anywhere.
The games are, you can play them years after and be fine, right?
Absolutely.
So, anyways, before I forget, I got Zur. Oh, by the way, sorry about that unintentional troll.
Oh man.
You
totally had everybody going too on Twitter.
Oh.
I what he's referring to is he was under the impression he swore that Zur sold Jade Rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
And
you noticed in the way that I phrased my tweet, I watched a Cool Guy video, and he's like, I've never been able to shoot this gun, and my good old buddy Zur had it. And I never once thought about the faded engram. And I went back after I saw your tweet, dude. Somebody said I was trolling you, and you said something. And I just went and looked at YouTube videos at Zur's inventory, and I'm like, holy cow, he didn't sell it. I'm like, he just got it from a faded engram. So I'm like, dude, sorry, unintentional troll. Oh man, that was like the best unintentional troll ever.
You had me really upset until somebody broke the news that he didn't sell it, and I was like, "Oh,
sorry, man. I would never want."
I didn't miss anything.
But this
damage
week, dude,
was done.
He did. Nah, man. Hug it out. Digital hug. Unintentional. He had tractor cannon this week, dude.
Yeah.
And I have yet to get that thing to drop. I've seen all the
man.
fun that can be had with that gun. So now I've got to learn how to.
I had a lot of fun playing with that in Mayhem.
Okay.
I had some fun moments, like just shooting people off in their supers.
Well, I'm a tractor cannon noob. Explain to me, like, what
in the Crucible you can basically you can use it 2 different ways effectively. You can make people fling into walls and die if you do it right, or the most satisfying is you catch them in a jump and they're near a cliff and you hit them with it in their jump and watch them fly into oblivion, and that's what's most exciting.
It's not lethal unless you strategize accordingly.
I think if you hit them 2 or maybe 3 times, with a blast, like, it does do some damage, but it's not significant enough to kill them in one blow. But I have killed people with just hitting them with the gun that I couldn't get. It's tricky. Like, it's tricky to get it to throw somebody. Sometimes it doesn't, like, it's almost like there's a sweet spot for where it has to connect. And if it doesn't connect just right, like, you might do a little damage, but they may not fling really far, if that makes sense.
No, I've got some things to learn.
I would love if they would make the effective area large. like Titan Shield large.
Make it even more fun.
Like, just break the game, like, make it fun, but it's a little tricky to use. I haven't found much effective use for it in PvE. Not really, but in PvP it can be quite a
I'm assuming it won't push larger enemies.
You can hit some people, but I don't know. I haven't done it enough. I was just a little underwhelmed by its performance, so I haven't really gone back and messed with it too much in PvE.
Man, I've been goofing around so much with my builds and stuff, I guess. I had like 4 legendary shards and I had to
just 4?
Yeah, I had like 4.
Wow.
I'm not even joking. So I played all week this week and got back up to like 40 or 50 a couple different times. So I had to like grind a little bit just to pick the gun up from Xur.
Well, when you're rising in level and you start to try to bring guns up, like you can burn through a lot of shards,
Yeah. And I have my favorites setting in each slot, and then if you throw a blue into them, which isn't very often anymore just because they're not dropping very high, but which again they can actually. I did see a tweet this week, the classic, somebody running max light with all blue. Where do you get that blue gear from?
I don't know.
Yeah, there was a Guardian tweeted DMG, and he was 335 with all blue gear.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe like you get that from Trials in the Raid, or I don't know how you get blue gear that high, because it's all dropping for me at like 320.
Yeah.
Anyways,
great question.
So a lot of fun this week. I played some Destiny, fit in some Zelda. Sounds like you're. I've thought about playing some Fortnite some more. I just haven't reinstalled it. I had to uninstall it to try out Assassin's Creed.
It's addictive.
Yeah, it is very addictive.
It's good. They do a good job of like getting you back into a game really fast. It's like one more game.
Yeah, it's super quick.
Quick. Yeah. Well, yep. Next week, I'm sure we'll have some kind of interesting reset stuff to do. There's no event going on, but maybe there will be something to sink our teeth into. In the meantime, we've got a little discourse.
Yes.
Damn discourse. We had a, not quite an email or anything, but there was a great question in our Discord channel for patrons, which only patrons get to take part in, but anybody can ask questions, but this just happened to be where this one was. Why don't you read his question for us real quick, man?
Yeah, this is from our buddy Shadowstrike623. He says, thanks for sharing the link to the Forbes article, AER0KNIGHT. After reading it, I have a question for you and Cyborg. Do you guys feel that many in the media are implying that D2 is a flop? I believe the game has such an amazing foundation. Why is the message coming across that Bungie made a failure? Is it because the big content creators are finding D2 uninteresting? I love the game. I need your perspective. You guys always have a good grasp on these things. I don't know about that, but we try.
We try. We
try.
Are grasping.
Yes. What do you think, man?
Well, without just like indicting the media with a blanket statement, I think that it's easier. Let me rephrase that. Destiny 2 is an easy target, and it's for a few different reasons. One, because it, despite all of the setbacks and trials, through Destiny 1, it was a big success, in spite of all those things. So it's a high profile game. Two, it's a game that's always live. And so there's always going to be coverage of the game. That right there makes it attractive for anybody in the media to cover it, right? And it gets lots of clicks. What's great clickbait articles is when something goes wrong. That's just the facts. And I'm not saying or pointing to like any particular media or publisher saying they do this all the time. Some people might have that motivation. Sometimes there is just stuff that needs to be covered that's not always in the best light. I don't think anybody's saying that D2 is a flop, but that narrative gets a lot of views.
And well, the other thing too is will Destiny 2 die, or Destiny as a franchise? And while all the stuff's going on with the player base and the community, the numbers have said differently, since launch. So
yeah.
I
don't think it's going anywhere. And but I think that it's a popular idea to put out there. And it's something that gets a lot of attention. I don't think that Bungie failed outright, but I think that kind of the position they were in. Like for a sequel, a lot was expected, and there were things that they hit the mark on. There are things that they didn't, and so that's just going to be part of the narrative for a while.
Right.
I think it's. I don't think it's as simple as people saying it's a flop. You can't say the game was a flop because they sold like hotcakes. I mean, they sold a lot of copies. It was one of the top 3 selling games of all of 2017. So no matter if they just blew the game up today, it still couldn't be considered a flop. It's all about perception. So right. I don't know. If these articles don't have anything that's interesting or has any value to you, just ignore them.
Right. I think you're right. It is an easy target. We touched on this some with the article we mentioned earlier by Paul, but I think, a lot of people think they missed the mark a little bit with D2 as far as, certain things like in-game or things like that. But, I'm enjoying the game still. There's things I would like to see. I think when it comes to your content creator question, those people are coming from a different place as far as what they're looking for in the game. They experienced all of Destiny 1 and they know what they had, and to go through Destiny 1 and all its trials and, growing pains. That was the first go round. And I think a lot of the issue is with content creators for Destiny and big fans of the game is naturally, I think the critique rate increases when we're on the numbered sequel of the game. And when it feels like you're going through certain things again. And, it just creates a pattern, I think. And again, it's for the love of the game and wanting it to be the best it can be. But I think you're right, Cyborg. I think it's an easy target in many different facets. It's unfortunately an easy target for these kind of things. And I think we're going to grow from that.
Sure.
We got plenty of room to grow. So I think, we're going to see that. So
sure.
Looking forward to it. Definitely.
Well, thanks for that question, though. Yeah. We appreciate your reaching out, giving us your thoughts on that idea. If you've got some discourse for us, if you want to sound off, you got a question, you got a statement you'd like to make on something going on in the Destiny universe or something we talked about on the show, drop us a line, destinyresetpodcast@gmail.com. You can also message us in discourse like this gentleman, or you can leave us a speakpipe, speakpipe.com/destinyreset. Do it. In stereo. Durfan patrons, yes.
we actually got one in the works right now. We need to acquire that gamer tag. We did get a new one this week, but no new shout outs. Probably not till next week. Thank you, Guardian, but you'll get your shout out next week after we get that gamer tag.
Yeah, if you don't know what a patron is, we keep mentioning that. You can go to patreon.com/destinyreset, and for as little as $1 a month, you can support the production budget of the show. Those dollars go towards things like hosting fees, equipment, and all the fun things that go into producing this podcast for you every week for 130 episodes concurrently. So we appreciate all of our patrons. They make a big difference for us. And you also get a few perks. Get a shout out right here on the show. You get your gamer tag posted on our website. You get access to a Discord channel for Dirt Fan patrons and supporters only. So go lend us some of your ducats.
We don't have all those crazy tiers. There's just one tier.
Yeah.
You get all those things.
Absolutely.
Yes. So thank you to everybody that is a patron and of course everybody for listening. We appreciate that.
You demands
always.
And women's. Where can people find you, man?
You guys can find me on Twitter at the AER0KNIGHT. Still haven't acquired that AER0KNIGHT Twitter account. That has never tweeted. And Twitch and YouTube, it's Arrow Knight. What about you, buddy?
You can find me at CyborgSasquatch on Twitch and Twitter. Finally, you can find us at Destiny Reset on Twitter and also on the World Wide Web at www.destinyresetpodcast.com. If you want an easy link to anything, whether it's a link to subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app of choice, link to our Discord, or a link to our clan, or just all those fun things, there's a bunch of links there. It makes it really easy to find stuff. Go check it out.
Do it. Stay tuned as well. We'll have it's inevitable. We're going to have a blue giveaway soon. It's been a little while. Stay tuned, Guardians.
All right,
well,
man.
Dude. Yeah. Might be kind of quiet week next week, but we'll have Armor Masterworks after that. I can't wait.
Very excited.
Yes. All right, guys. Until next week, have fun playing Destiny 2, and take care, Guardians.